Good evening and many thanks for joining me at Defunke Jarizimi on the most dynamic and objective show on television, People's Voice. The show where we delve into the most pressing issues affecting our communities, creating platforms for ordinary citizens to be heard. Today we are tackling a critical concern that puts the lives of millions of Nigerians at risk. I'm talking about you and I, counterfeit medicines. From market stalls to pharmacy shelves, counterfeit medicines have become a deadly menace, causing harm and even death to unsuspecting victims. But what's been done to combat this disturbing scourge? Join us to explore the complexities of counterfeit medicines in Nigeria, the efforts of regulatory agencies, and the controversial stance of the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, on closing markets to fight counterfeit medicines. Share your thoughts, questions, and experiences with us. And because you drive our conversations as always, do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Voice of the People TV, and you can follow us across all social media platforms at BOP Live. To call us, the number is 09044732605. Let's make our voices heard. And because you chose to follow us on these streaming platforms, do well to engage our posts, comment, like, and let us know your thoughts on some of the conversations we put out there. It's time for a quick break. We'll be right back.
From the views on the street
we go to bed empty hunger
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health, without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Tuesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority.
Combating counterfeit medicines in Nigeria is a pressing public health challenge that demands great, urgent attention. The World Health Organization estimates that up to 10% of medicines in developing countries are counterfeit, with Nigeria being one of the most affected. Counterfeit medicines not only pose serious health risks to consumers, but also undermine the trust citizens have in the healthcare system. And in Nigeria, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has been working tirelessly to combat counterfeit medicines with strategies including enforcement of regulation, public enlightenment, and collaboration with international organizations. Would we say that NAFDAC is doing so much or doing relatively well? These are questions to be answered. As we delve into this complex and very concerning issue, we'll explore the intricacies of combating counterfeit medicines in Nigeria and the role of NAFDAC in all of this. Joining me tonight to discuss this very, very crucial topic is Otumba Kenny Odubemi, social commentator and analyst. Good evening, Otumba.
Good evening. It's always my pleasure to be with you on Voice of the People TV.
All right, thank you.
Voice TV for the people to express their views.
Thank you very much. I mean, we're all about the people, the people's voice, giving voice, lending voice to ordinary people. But let's look at some of the areas to explore the intricacies of combating counterfeit medicine in Nigeria. It's become such a mess, if I would use that word, because it keeps, or it feels like it keeps getting bad every day. But what is the hope of the common man? I mean, if it seemed like our people, our politicians, the people, the very wealthy people, understand what is playing in this sector, and maybe that's why they choose to explore other countries when they want to seek healthcare or medical attention. But for us here in Nigeria, for some of us, that solely depends on what we can get within our local market here. Let's look at the regulatory framework first.
Thank you very much. Looking at the regulatory framework, which is domiciled with NAFDAC. NAFDAC is empowered to carry out some statutory responsibility. The first one is providing regulatory framework. They are in a position to bring policies, to bring code of conduct, to set ethical values, to actually dictate, the pace of how drug can be moved from one point to the other, to actually come into the quality, the quality assurance of the drug, the composition of the drug, the packaging of the drug, and the 4 Ps of the drug, which is the price, the packaging, the product itself, is the sole prerogative of NIDA. But you also know that NAFDAC enough as an institution do not have the wherewithal, the manpower, the reach out, and also this issue, it has been a delicate issue spanning over decades. The blessed Professor Nora Kuyuli combat fiercely and set a good ground. So we are of the opinion that for what she has done, at least to honor the memory. But you find out that quite a lot of people, especially people around that zone, they show some sense of entitlement mentality.
When you talk about zone, what
zone? In the southeast zone.
The southeast zone,
yes.
The southeast of Nigeria.
Southeast of Nigeria, all especially right. The particular village they are talking about. You will see clearly that the concept of get rich quick, the concept of running capitalistic country, the concept of looking for money at all costs. In the first instance, everybody gets to know now that you need money to do all things. And also, you need to be strongly capitalized to be able to go into politics.
Because before we talk about the morality involved in all of this, looking at how people want to get rich and all, you've talked about the regulatory framework, addressing the role that NAFDAC has to play in ensuring that there are regulations. But I know that Dora Akuli, the late Professor Dora Akuli, did a bit, and of course, there are regulations that are supposed to be upheld even after she's gone. But let's look at the effectiveness of these regulations in preventing the production and the distribution of counterfeit medicine. Because the new DG has come out to say that most of these counterfeit drugs are even imported. So let's talk about how effective the regulations are in preventing the production and distribution of these counterfeit drugs that are killing Nigerians.
Thank you very much. To the best of my knowledge, we all have a weak institutions in Nigeria because of what? Undue interferences. And you also agree with me now that regulation takes two forms. When we're talking of a cartel, it's just like the issue of drugs. It's a strong cartel because huge capital base is involved and it is filled with criminal gang in high places because of how much it generates, which means it has been a conundrum that has affected the generator of the people. It is rooted firmly and people have come to accept certain culture because of the fact that the level of poverty of our people is abysmal. Poor people are thrown into perpetual darkness. I mean, they want to reach out to what they want to do.
Right.
Most especially, you will see clearly now that since most of the international company have divested, and to even tell you, most of our people leave Nigeria to go to where they are being produced and give them mass production. It has gone beyond the cartel. The drug cartel is not only at the local front. It has taken an international scene where people now go to specify the quantity, to lower the quantity. For instance, there are some quantities expected to provide a milligram. They will use that milligram for about 1 packet because they want to make more money. Our people have gone beyond the shores of Nigeria to influence the production capacity in Taiwan, in all these third world countries, because in Indonesia, that's where some of these drugs come from, because there's a level of sanity in European countries. But in China, because of low production, our people go there. There is no drug that do not have faith.
So this counterfeits, are you saying that it is low quality? Is it not supposed to be harmful or
no,
dangerous?
it's low quality and it is harmful to the body. Because take for instance, for you to cure any diseases in your body, there's a minimal level of the reagents you need in your body.
Right.
The reagent, but if the reagent is not enough, it's not going to be able to hinder the microbial activities of the bacteria that is in your body. If it is not potent enough to deactivate them, then more so you find that that's why people now begin to use drug abnormally. Instead of taking Fensic or Panadol 2, people will take like 4, it's not be enough. It means that it's because of the content of the agent. And the criminal that has been on for decades. Mm-hmm. So, and to the best of my knowledge, you see, NAFDAC alone cannot solve this problem.
So what are you suggesting?
What I'm suggesting is we need a multi-layer approach. That is, there must be, government is, NAFDAC
government must be at the heart of the matter.
Heart of the matter.
Right.
National Orientation Agency must be involved.
Okay.
State Orientation Agency must be involved. Commission of Information must be involved. Local government must be involved. Community must be involved. Town hall meeting must be involved. Even village meeting, village store must be involved. It must take an elaborate non-kinetic approach.
But when you talk about their involvement in what exactly?
In information dissemination.
On how to
on how to recognize a fake drug.
Okay, we will get there.
On the use of fake drug. On the packaging of this drug.
We would get there, but let's talk about these regulations. Are there any gaps or loopholes in the current regulatory framework beyond the institution that you say is weak?
Its implementation has always been a problem across board, it's not limited to NAFDAC alone.
So across sectors?
Across all sectors in Nigeria,
okay.
Implementation has always been the problem. We have enabling policy. In as much as Nigeria are the one that are going to implement the policy, we will say, may Nigeria don't happen to you. Because Nigerian, for who they are, I'm not saying all Nigerian. There are more Nigerians that are better than other Nigerians, just like fingers are not equal.
Right.
But there are some Nigerians that believe in get rich quick. We even call them Kaba. They are in the government circle. they're in production, they're in even in water, producing water. You know, there's fake water.
But when people say that may Nigeria not happen to you, it's rather unfortunate that a lot of people look at it from the angle of the failure of the government to protect or provide for its people. But in a situation like this, these are businessmen or women that have chosen the path of bringing in counterfeit drugs, regardless of what it does to the people. So do you think that NAFDAC failed in an extent? I mean, looking at the inflow of these counterfeit drugs in Nigeria.
NAFDAC, to the best of my knowledge, is trying their best. But is their best?
Have they failed?
No.
Have they failed?
I won't say they have failed. But have they been able to perform optimally? The answer is no. Because look, we are not talking of effective collaboration. It's one thing for you to have a policy. It's another thing to communicate. It's another thing to do interagency collaboration. NAFDAC alone cannot stand alone and say it's effective until there is a 360-degree collaborative effort. Interagency collaboration.
What agencies can you suggest?
We're talking about security agencies.
You want the Nigerian police force to be involved in this?
Look, what I'm saying is this.
Or the tax force? Or military police? Which exactly?
Almost everybody must have their information. As much as any security agent that interface with the people. Army interface with the people, true of us. Police interface with the people. In as much as there's an interface with the generality, there's an information dissemination should not be limited to one source. Okay. I'm saying as long as you interact with the people, there must be dissemination of the information in order to pass the right information to people. Even police in their own, there's a way they can do it in line of their duty. You communicate to the people. Traders communicate to people. Community communicate to people. Even in churches, in organizations, this is called inter-hall meeting. It must be something, what you see, what you hear, affirm to them. And everybody must be policeman of these vices. Okay. That is, we should safeguard the life. You see, when you consider your life as important, and you also relate to the life of others as that important, your duty is not only to save your life, also to save the lives of the people.
Let's
do that through information.
Let's dwell on the interagency collaboration that you've suggested, and let's talk about enforcement and prosecution. Do you think that involving law enforcement agencies in investigation and prosecution of counterfeit medicine production and distribution will be effective in curbing the menace we already have in society?
It's a criminal offense that should attract death penalty. So there's no way you will involve law enforcement because you can, for instance, NAFDAC can only trace. They can conduct a due diligence. They can do surveillance, but they don't have the power to arrest. Do they have the power to arrest? No. So which means NAFDAC itself must have their own, what we call, they should have their own force marshal with them. Okay. Just like we have mineral resources marshal, which are trained by the security in order to be able to do a first line intervention. So NAFDAC, so apart from what they do, they should have their own marshal that goes with them, that relate directly to, they have a dotted line to the security network so that they can be activated when they need arrest. Remember, these people, they're weaponized. These people in form of counterfeit drugs, they're weaponized. They're weapon because they know they're doing something criminal. So if that is it, you must also involve the security agent in order to guarantee life and safety.
But in a case where you want to fight people who, consciously, we can't say unconsciously, sell drugs that is capable of killing people, you want to attack them, you want to go after them. But most of these people, like you said, it's a cartel and we have cabals, very rich individuals that, in most cases, have security agencies as their bouncers or whatever they are called in the society. As a matter of fact, the movement of these drugs from one location to the other is usually done with most of these vehicles having escorts who are security operatives too. Are they in denial that what they are carrying could be counterfeit? Or they really do not know what most of these masters they serve are doing?
They know.
So how then do we entrust this same security agents?
What I'm saying, let me say. What I'm saying is this. The security agents we are talking about, it's not all of them that is polluted.
Right.
We see have people who are righteous, who knows the conduct. I'm saying these same people, security is two levels. These people, they have their own personal security. When I'm talking of I'm talking of the personal security of the people committing that. They have their own personal security.
Uniformed men.
Oh, yes.
Not private security.
Not private. They have uniformed men. They have vigilante with them. Because in Nigeria, if you have money, you can have the police protection. No, so.
And have them carry your bag.
And can carry them your bag.
Exactly, and even get food for you at parties.
They can give you, they give utility card that follows you. In as much as you can pay. Because we regarded life of people who are richer than the policy and the strategic framework of our society. So how do we trust such people with? Now, what I'm saying is this. You see, it is people that will police people. In as much as they are walking on the ground, are they walking in the air? People must see people. Even wherever you go, whether you will discharge the goods, you will see movement. In as much as you are not, it is not invisible. There's no way they will decide. If they are in a place, some people have story building. They will see the activity that is there. What we're saying now that we must police one another. Whenever that is the initiative
more
of
like
the community.
More like a whistleblowing.
There must be a whistleblowing.
Okay.
Whistleblowing by people. Now, even though within the community, if you see something, say something.
Right.
Incidentally, it should be the collective collaboration of everybody. When you see movement that you cannot, that is very suspicious. When you see people moving goods in a suspicious manner, when you see packaging in a suspicious manner, when you see people doing certain things, when you go to buy something and they have to move on, when you're selling something very good, you don't need to keep it in so many ways. It is displayed. But when you go to buy something and they show you one, they say they'll go and carry one inside. They go inside. That's why they mix a lot of all these things together.
Right.
So what we're saying is this. Apart from that, this is the time for us to do technology. Technology must be involved.
Exactly. That's exactly the next topic we'll be talking about. But do you think that these regulatory agencies face challenges that are beyond them when it comes to enforcing regulations and prosecuting offenders, especially when it comes to the status of the people involved?
Oh, yes. Because you will be surprised that who are involved in this criminal cartel. I'm saying billionaires who you know their name. They are coded people. You see, there's no vices in Nigeria that doesn't have people who won't build the cabal that is supporting them. So it is for instance, most of the institutions are hampered by undue interferences. Whenever they get there, they only need to call one man who will call another man who will say, please, let them conduct investigation. Leave that to me. I think we can solve it. These are the things that weakens the institutional framework. And it's not only limited to NAFDAC. The one that is doing it, Bubamura is on narcotics, is doing a lot of work because he's a military man, and he can combat that because of his own status and because of the interagency collaboration he has done, because of his network, because of the position he has held, the clout he has. You can't compare that with any other person. But you see, a civilian running such an organization or the organization of criminally minded people. Look, some of them face death. Death sentence. Most of all these NAFDAC people, they go through death threat. Are you aware? They go through death threat because in suing them, a lot of people will be. So what I'm saying is this: there must be a reinforcement, to protect their life.
Right.
Also, it must be all stakeholders' engagement. It should not be a fight for NAFDAC alone. It's a fight at different levels that I've mentioned. Information dissemination should take from the top to the bottom. Everybody must be conscious, must be aware of what they do. At different parts in the church, at the park, anywhere, even in parties and everywhere.
Unfortunately, there's been pushbacks. And before we wrap up the show, we'll still talk about the response from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, which some people have been holding on to say that this isn't the way to go. But let's speak on technological solutions, because whatever affects the life of everyday citizens is priority. And it's enough that you want to complain about the economy, complain about governance, complain about, literally all the sectors are out to deal with Nigerians. CBN with all of his reforms and all that, withdrawal charges increasing day by day, telcos and the likes. But let's look at technological solutions to this, because staying alive is important regardless of what you're going through. Can technologies such as track and trace system help combat counterfeit medicines in Nigeria? And do you think that it can work in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. In fact, it has proven to be the most effective way of combating. For
The
instance,
track and trace system?
Track and trace system. That is if there is no undue interferences.
That's why I asked people who work in Nigeria.
What I'm saying now that interferences is just limit. You know, technology itself cannot just perform, cannot just be efficient. It is people, how you manage the technology. It is what you put in, you get out.
Right.
Is that not so? Because technology has a process and procedure. There's a need for data. Do we have reliable data in Nigeria? No. People, when people are too capitalistic, when people are too materialistic, when people are too money conscious, money is the root of all evil. So, somebody that is having a salary of 30 and suddenly something you know to pass by, you are giving him 50,000, 150,000, 250,000, you want to sponsor. Definitely a lot of people change their mind. But in technology, their method, their strategy is involved. And that will occur at the 3 levels. The first level is what we call predictive form. Predictive approach.
Okay.
Predictive approach is saying now that before you do anything, there must be a regular inspection. And most of the inspection should be on schedule. And also it must be closely monitored. You understand? There must be track and trace in course of monitoring.
Right.
In that predictive measure, there's what we call a mystery check. Mystery check in the sense that somebody can go, even an officer can go, officer of the law, that is going there with a hidden camera, can go to a place and begin to ask questions and begin to talk of, in asking questions. By the time he takes a product, is inspecting the product, is showing it, and camera is catching it to be able to look at the specification. So that itself will come to peel up data because data are not, we don't have reliable data. So for you to build a technological product, it has to be fully customized. So the first one is predictive form, which is regular impression. It will be on schedule, and also it must be under heavy surveillance to be able to understand the orientation, the packaging, and to be able to easily know, because it is when you know that it's counterfeit that you can go arrest. If you don't know, can you arrest? And you need such data to work on. That's one. On preventive, that is where you need use of technology. For instance, to trace, to monitor, and also to dictate code. There's, for instance, in drugs, they use code, scratch code to them.
Right.
So, which means most of the which means most of the product they do, there must be they can institute a scratch code. Whereas when you have the number, you can just do on your phone and get to see. But that can only be applicable to people who are learning. How about people who are illiterate? Remember, many of these things are taken in the interior, suburban area, thickly populated area, by these same people who do not understand. So what I'm saying now is this, the most effective way to do, because this technology, you have to do scratching for mobile technology.
Right.
You have to do scanning to be able to know. Is that not so? And you can only do that at one spot. You can't be doing that for everywhere, which means we still need people. We still need to engage people at different levels. So that, because when people are well aware of how to recognize fake product, when people are well aware in terms of the pricing, in terms of the packaging, in terms of the color,
they will know what to look out for.
They will look for what to look at in buy. And what we're saying is this: even when they notice it, they must, when they see something, they must say something.
But for the third one?
The third one is a prescriptive approach. That prescriptive approach is a synergy between the private and public and private enterprises. What we're saying is this: there should need for us to build a support base, even with the people who are doing the business within the value chain. Now, and also there must be a support system in terms of tariff reduction, in terms of rebate. Take for instance, when the multinational divested in Nigeria, there was no proper off-taking between the multinational and those people who took over. And also, we didn't do proper stock taking to be able to see the reorder level. We didn't manage the order level. For instance, for a country, for a multinational company to divest, there must be a reorder level that will take a span until we're able to build a base to be able to call. We did not do that one.
Okay, so we are where we are right now. What do you now think that could be challenges and limitations of implementing technological solutions?
One, we know the telecommunication, digital internet, in fact, data has been the problem now. The level of poverty is absurd. Government have to come to a point of ensuring credit facility. Also, the conditional transfer for the poorest of the poor is also essential. Also, creating a credit facility and enabling environment that will guarantee. Look, when there is a value chain, when people have something to do to interact, they have money. You understand? There's a time they make profit. They will be able to afford something decent for themselves. And also, if you want people to escalate, this whistleblower, there must be a kind of reimbursement to them. To clean our society, it depends on the collaboration of entire phases. Availability of credit facility is necessary. Availability of a robust support system on the part of the people who are selling the drug, who are producing the drug, on the part of the government. Ability for the government to be able to take off some cost from them. You know the problem we have in this country is the problem of the valuation of naira. When people say they make profit, they don't. It's only naira increase they have. The value is next to nothing. The exchange rate has been a serious problem. Exchange rate used to be 450, 750, is now 1,500.
So Nigerians are seriously disadvantaged.
Nigeria is, look, let me be frank with you. The people, that's why we say government officials allow us to breathe. We're not breathing because of they themselves goes abroad to get the best of health. Most of all what they use at the expense of taxpayers' money. If any of them has a headache, some of them don't stay in Nigeria, they take a first flight.
It's rather unfortunate, and I think that I established
Is the Minister of Health using the hospital here?
Well, we won't be able to answer that.
Is the prison president the Senate are there? The senators are there. House of Rep, even councillor. They don't use this. Most of the
even party chairman
don't use. Incidentally, most of these hospitals have done to don't dispensing you. Go to any hospital, you won't get drug. They will refer you to all those ones.
Okay, let's move on to the topic of public awareness and education, because this is very, very important for the Nigerian people, regardless of how disadvantaged we are or may seem. It's very, very important that we find a way to ensure that we are safe regardless of what is coming our way. It's enough that your governor is coming on social media to tell you that some people are taking over the state and nobody's coming to ask you how you feel about the events and how are you protected against the possibility of a crisis in the state. But your health, that's something that is more personal, and we are here to ensure that we get to the basics and ensure that Nigerians have a fair hearing of safety measures. But what role do healthcare professionals play in educating patients about the dangers of counterfeit medicines?
Let's be frank. There are specific rules for the government, government and their workers, because the health worker is working for the government. Is that not so? There are rules for the traders, there are rules for the commodity, there are rules for the common people on the road.
No, but both public-owned hospitals and private, because now when we talk about healthcare,
education.
Okay.
Health education is quite very important. Now, also it is time for us to begin to provision tradomedical practices, because these imported drugs the prices have gone astray. How many people can really afford it? Augmentin, original Augmentin is 45,000. The version of this is what you get 4,500, 3,500. How many people can still afford that? So there's a need for us to do a lot of profiling on trado price. At least we can get that.
Like alternative
method. It is time for us to be talking about it now. I'm even happy that Trump is removing A8. So now it is with that for us to begin to look for alternative approach. For instance, health education is quite very important in the sense that people must have the right education, right knowledge, right understanding about the fake drug, efficacy of fake drug, impact of fake drug, the distribution network, also be able to also bust the cartel, understand, because this cartel is made of people. They work at night, it might be at night, it might be during the day, they have warehouses. So when everybody consider it as a national menace, when everybody value each other's life, then it will be, we are now taking up, people must take ownership of this problem.
So how can this awareness campaign, how can we implement it and sustain it?
Good. The major form of communication is, we have commissioners at every state. Is that not so?
Right.
We have national orientation agents at every state. In fact, my people who are involved, they do village meeting a lot. You understand? They meet every Sunday. In fact, you can imagine traders too in the market. They do a lot of meeting. So the question now is this: apart from the health official coming in, there must be a synergy between. No matter the knowledge you have, it is when you are given opportunity to talk that you'll be able to talk.
Right. Right.
So what we're saying is this: as long as you are preparing the health worker you want to say must be indigenous of the place who understood the language. Because at times, language could be a serious barrier.
True.
You understand? Because when people do not understand the language they are dealing with, it becomes difficult. I am a typical Ijebu man. Sorry, I'm a typical Ijebu man, but I'm a Remo man. I understood our language, I can communicate better, and people can understand my body language and way of that. So in communication, you shouldn't be limited to the English foreign language point of view. The issue of fake drug must be communicated even down to the root in the local language.
Which is very, very important. And I remember when I was in secondary school, back then in Sabo Market in Shagam, there's this woman that comes to sell drugs. And they try to tell people how to use it. So they say it in the local dialects. That is a spoon. Shibu kon wow. So they emphasize on the fact that it's a spoon daily, not the one you use in serving.
And they will even tell you the symptoms they have.
Exactly.
If you use this is the quantity you use. So if you see this reaction, it's not original. If you cough, this is not original. This should come. In fact, this responsibility, the training must be from the health official to the trader. It must be on-site training in the marketplace, market square. For instance, every market, they have a head that's running. They have executive team running. There must be a kind of, we call it in engineering, toolbox stock. That is, this stock must be every day before they open.
Okay.
Every day they must go. Even when they go on break, they ring bell, they must say it. They must have loudspeaker. Even the town crier must come. So when the information begins circulated effectively, when they know now that the next neighbor can know whether it is fake or not, it will reduce it.
Right.
That's the only way.
But there's a position where the international cooperation takes in all of this. So let's look at international cooperation and collaboration. How can they help combat counterfeit medicines in Nigeria? Because for WHO too, I've said in a report that up to 10 or more than 10% of the drugs in this part of the world are counterfeit drugs. Who did the research? How did we get to that point? If we're able to research and confirm, how then can we ensure that there is some sort of cooperation and collaboration with international bodies to combat counterfeit medicines in Nigeria, and especially for most of those drugs that comes in as aid?
Thank you very much. This has to do with diplomacy between countries. That's one.
Okay.
It has to do with bilateral and multilateral agreement. That is two.
Okay.
And also, it has to be a function that the embassy in each country must take ownership of. And also, what it means is that for somebody to move from here to, say, China, it will need a visa. And it will write the purpose of the visa. Which means the education must go beyond the shores of Nigeria across our different embassies. What it means is that people, the surveillance must not stop in the Nigerian shore. It must not stop in our embassy. We must also begin to create a mystery check to be able to also ensure that we monitor our, we only have control.
But is that not infringing on their privacy, right?
No, I say our citizens.
Yeah, I mean our citizens, because anybody can go to the embassy to get visa for whatever reason.
Okay, when you get visa for whatever reason, it doesn't mean you are left in the loop. There's some statutory conditions you have to meet. Is that not so? Even when you get the visa, you are doing something. You must be able to state clearly where you're going. Is that not so?
Okay.
Enough information. That is, our embassy should not just wait with information. They should process information in order to be able to reach out to other countries. For instance, whatever whatever we believe, whatever specification we believe, we should sell it to other countries. That this is what we are talking about. That in case if there is a default, there must be a kind of collateral damage.
But how serious are we as a nation if we constantly have to shut down markets. I mean, during the time of the late Professor Akunluyi, there was a 4 months shutdown in the same Anambra State before the then governor, Peter Obi, intervened and asked, he had to intervene in all of it and of course made some promises that he was going to ensure that these things don't happen at all and even make some provisions which at the end of the day were not made. But that's not where I'm going to now. If we have to clamp down markets, reopen and clamp these markets down, in the news there's the buzz of NAFDAC going after counterfeit drugs, sealing market, destroying products. How serious should the world take us when we can't even put a face to the criminals behind these great atrocities?
Thank you very much. Even the so-called governors of the various states, they couldn't do anything with it. Are they telling me now they don't know it's a conundrum? That tells you the people that are behind it. Even Obi himself did not implement any effective policy. He tried to resuscitate the health institution, but he did not put a single structure down to actually mitigate to eradicate it. Why? Is he bigger than the problem? He only begged. What we're saying is this: power belongs to the people. My take is that power belongs to the people. People should not allow themselves to just be slaughtered because on a platter of gold like that. This situation is not a situation that we can say somebody will take responsibility. All of us must take a collective responsibility. In terms of sealing, it must be a kind of face by face and a selective sealing. That is, when we fail to plan, we have already planned to fail. What we're doing now, what NAFDAC is doing now, when NAFDAC officially, it is planned to fail.
So, in your opinion, NAFDAC is working hard to fail. But it's time to go on another break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. Recently, Peter Obi, a former presidential candidate of the Labour Party and also the former governor of Anambra State, sparked controversy with his stance on closing markets while fighting counterfeit medicines. While some argue that closing markets could help curb the spread of counterfeit medicines, others see it as an overly drastic measure that could harm legitimate traders and the economy. Let me come to you again, Otumba. In your opinion, what are the implications of such statements from Peter Obi? I mean, his stance on closing the market.
Look, many a time when my brother talk, because we have the same age, he is too political in the way he approach issue. And we can't be using politics to discuss issue. Especially issue that has to do with life. Life is involved. I've said it, I will repeat now. NAFDAC is running an operation of plan to fail. That's why whatever they do instill fear, hazard onto people. Because if you plan effectively, if you have effective communication, at least the first set of people is the kingpin. You see, Nigerians are very careful. When you make a show of somebody, others will run. Others will not want it to repeat themselves. The question is this: when you don't do show of shame, when you don't do your work effectively, you begin to gamble. Take for instance, 80% of adulterated product comes from that market they are selling. Because of the effective distribution network they have. Almost every dispensing unit or dispensing shop sells fake products. If they're able to effectively manage that, they will reduce the fake product that goes into the different parts of Nigeria by 80%.
But he has said he have made a follow-up tweet or post saying that he still maintains his stance and his position on the closure of that market, saying that it's going to affect the economy of the state and of course trying to stop other people from doing their business isn't enough. But you've said that he's been political.
Hold on. It's political. The question is this: when you make a show of somebody, others will run. Others will not want it to repeat themselves. The question is this: when you don't do your work effectively, you begin to gamble. Take for instance, 80% of adulterated product comes from that market they are selling. Because of the effective distribution network they have. Almost every dispensing unit or dispensing shop sells fake products. If they're able to effectively manage that, they will reduce the fake product that goes into the different parts of Nigeria by 80%. between business and life, which one is important? What I will have suggested is that they should first establish those that are doing legitimate business. They can't close all the shops. That's why I'm saying now that they must use a selective face-by-face approach.
But if they want to profile people, they still have to, or they might have to close the market. How do they register businesses? How do they know the people in charge of these businesses? If the business is in a place, in a market, like you said, that there will always be unions and, of course, market leaders. Who register the people in that market? Who owns which shop and what are they doing in those shops? So in a bid to curtail this thing that has become a mess that is taking the life of the people, do you think that his position is for the people he planned to govern, or for the people that are enriched at the cost of other people's lives?
He is trying to give a balanced approach to it. If you look at it carefully, it is true, and complete closure will stop. Complete closure and stopping will stop economic activities, because there are some people their life depends on it. It is okay, but I'm saying now that economic activities and life of the people, which one is more important?
The life of the people,
Good.
definitely.
That's what I'm saying now, that his statement is incomplete. His statement must be a conditioner that they should conduct a due diligence to separate the wheat from the shaft. The people that are doing, and that can only be done when you have a surveillance intelligence network. It means that before closure is before you conduct a closure, there must be a surveillance approach. You don't act on a spur of moment, but most of our agencies act on spur of moment. That is the problem we have, because it's not everybody that is criminal. You might have 20 shops, maybe one of them is not doing them. It's the only one that is doing. But trust Nigeria. Even when you leave that one that is legitimate, for instance, you cannot probe somebody without closing the shop. You cannot. That's why I'm saying now that there must be a surveillance and intelligence to discover that there is counterfeit.
If the larger population in that market is involved in this
then they should
business,
close it down.
do you think that the lesser population might be aware of what is going on?
Oh, yeah, let me be frank. There's no activity that goes within an environment people don't know. That's why we're saying now that there must be what we call a mystery. NAFTA should conduct what we call a mystery check. Mystery check in the sense that they must be able to have a NAFTA marshal that lives, that works in the market. You know, when you have somebody who works, who sells in that market, he knows in and out of the activities, is that not so? He wakes up with them, he sleeps with them, is interwoven here. There is an interwoven of activity. They will be able to separate the which all of them cannot be doing. They should only leave people that are doing legitimate business, and that itself must be a lot of surveillance and intelligence, and also be able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Which is very, very important.
But a case when you conduct due diligence and almost the shop is doing this, is selling fake drug. For instance, in closing, if you close, you can do face-by-face approach. Let's say you're in a shop, there are 40. You understand? You put officials there to actually monitor what is happening, and you can still conduct your due diligence. If this place is under surveillance, you can put officials to monitor. That's why you activate your own intelligence network that's there. They already know who is selling fake.
Okay, let's talk about the economic and social factors, because we need to wrap up quickly. How do social factors such as poverty and lack of standard healthcare contribute to the demand of counterfeit medicines? Because if there's no demand, there will be no supply. And if there's no supply, there's no market.
Thank you very much.
In 1 minute.
It is an aberration and apathy that the so-called leaders of these people, our leaders, are so corrupt that they deprive people of almost their earning. Because people are poor, and that's why people should understand what it takes to choose a leader. Because some of these people, when they have sold their birthright, what do you do? It will not this because some of these people, they all this cartel are the people that sponsor people for election. They have enough money to put millions. So what we're saying is
that's some allegation there.
No, what I'm saying is many of these people who do not have the money.
Okay.
They don't have the money to go. How can somebody afford 100 million naira to get a form?
Okay, this is a very, very wide topic, and because it's a topic that's of interest to the people of Nigeria, we can't take more than we have discussed so far on the show, but I'm sure that we've been able to shed light on some of the questions that you've asked, while watching this question. But that's the much we can take on the show tonight. Many thanks for joining me again tonight.
Thank you.
All right, that's how we wrap it up on the show tonight, People's Voice. My name is Adefunke Jaisemi, and I strongly believe in the project Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good evening.